Okay, hello guys, you're welcome back to Beyond the Classroom podcast. Our schools must have closed obviously for the Easter break, which is, by the way, very short. I used to like my breaks very long, so that you can rest because of the loss of pressure and stress that you must have gone through, obviously. But it is what it is, all right? Easter break is always very short. But then that does not mean that the happenings of the second term was not a lot, even though it is quite short in itself, but the events that happened this period is actually a lot. Okay, let me use my experience. Okay, so I actually encountered a lot of parents who had wanted their children to do a certain subject. Obviously, we know the preference for science, STEM courses. Obviously, everybody wants to be a mother or father or of a doctor, of a nurse, of a pharmacist, without necessarily considering the capabilities of the child and the choices that he or she wants for him or herself. Now, what I'm trying to say is the implications of this sort of choices for our children. Like if you actually choose courses for the students or for the children, they end up not necessarily okay. Let's say some students might do well indeed, but those set of students could be miserable doing it. Then majority of the cases, you find out that the students find it hard to actually adapt, to actually catch up with the rest of the students that actually are doing this for the love of it. There is one thing: every parent wants their children or their child to do well, but there is another thing that follows it. They don't care how this is achieved, as long as a child is doing well, no matter how he or she achieves it. Now, this includes the school going extra miles to help the students or even to pad results. We're wondering, why do parents, even when they know that this sort of thing goes on in certain educational institutions, and they still allow it, they still go with it? And you see these parents coming back to tell you that their child used to do very well in those schools, that they don't know what is happening in your own school, that you're not teaching very well, that you're not doing it the way others are doing it. Now, parents encourage malpractice. That's the honest truth. I used to tell people that malpractice does not lie with the students. Malpractice lies with adults, both teachers and parents and exam bodies. Let's take, for instance, we have the external exam body, WAEC or NICO. Please, this is not to actually in any way talk down on any established body, but I feel like malpractice starts from the point of setting the question at these various organizations. And when these questions are set, there is no how an external body could have access to these questions if maybe somebody from the organization does not actually leak the questions that have been set. So that's the first step. So I feel like malpractice could be caught by looking inwards in these standardized organizations that have a reputation to keep. They should make sure that there is always great care taken when handling examination questions. Now, the schools could actually, in order to keep parents happy and also to, pose or present a certain type of image, they could go into malpractice. Now, these schools, these exam bodies are not made up of students, they're actually made up of adults. So it is actually the adults that dictate the reactions or actions of the students. So I totally have to place the blame on the adults that run educational institutions than actually having a greater focus on the students. The students will dance to whatever tone you give them. If a student actually knows that there is nowhere he will see any sort of help apart from the help he gives himself during the examinations, I bet you will have a lot of students who are serious with their studies. But because they know that, for Christ's sake, at the end of the day, we are going to have help. So what's the need of actually stressing our brains to actually go and read or study and prepare for these exams as if we are going to be the ones to write it by ourselves? Now, what could compel some schools to actually compromise? It could be from this dire desire of parents to have their children choose a certain course, achieve it by all means. Now the schools will come under pressure. That schools that don't have integrity anyway. Now for you must have to be thick-skinned to handle parents because they always come on you, threatening to take away their kids because they feel like you're not doing things the way they want it. But if we must have the quality of education that we are all clamoring for, we should all learn to work together to actually follow, the laid down standards, have this some sort of high level quality control in our education. I get irritated when I watch television or when I watch news, and then I see a lot of adults blaming the young students for malpractice. It's simply the tone that we have set for them. Let's not even talk about what is happening in higher institutions. That at some point there are some situations where no matter what you read, no matter what you write, you must have to pay. In that case, if you don't pay, you fail. So you find out that the educators are the ones that set the tone for the students. Human beings tend to go with what is actually a lot more convenient for them, even when it is wrong. But then, for us to have this under control, adults that run educational institutions should have integrity, should be honorable. I'm going back to the secondary school level now. Parents will always come around and threaten you that we're going to withdraw our kids or children, no matter the circumstances. Now you see schools doing everything possible to keep parents happy, even at the expense of the children. Because the truth is this, as long as you are giving fake results or padding results or even helping the children in external exams, you are killing the intellectual capability of the country. So it now lies on us, the educators, to actually come in with an open mind, with integrity, with honesty, and look inwards and find out that this is actually our problem, not the students' problem, actually. This is actually a problem with us, the ones that set the tone. And if the parents too should look at it, should be honest about the performances of their children and the capabilities of their children. Don't always force the children to study courses that they are not willing to study or they are not motivated to study. Don't always teach the children to achieve certain levels of success no matter the cost. Allow them to choose their path, and you see that they flow. Those that are going to be in the medical line obviously will choose the medical line without any form of pressure from anybody, be it from school or from parents. Those that choose the creative side, the commercial side, everybody will go to their turf where they are comfortable. So the problem lies with the adults. It's even the hypocrisy that kills it from like that it makes me even more red. Like it makes me even more mad. The hypocrisy who after we have endorsed in exam malpractice in any form of so many educational malpractices, we still come on we still come on maybe social media or where we're interacting with our fellow adults or even on television, and we heap the blame on the most vulnerable people that we are actually responsible for their actions, the students. So it's always on the students and never on those that run the educational system. The students have no control how this is done. We are the ones that dictate it. And like I said earlier, the parents are the first point. Some of us we teach our children to get what we want at all costs and by all means, no matter the level of malpractice that we're engaging, as long as we get to our aim. And this is also translating to the societal ills that we are beginning to witness, where we have a lot of children that now want to make money by all means because right from the home they have been taught to go for their goals at the cost of whatever thing they meet. There's no limit to how far they can go. There is no morality peg, so they just go for it at all costs. So we have taught them to be desperate. We have even by teaching them this, we have taught them that they can't actually achieve success by doing honest work. That's why we now see slangs like school is scam and the rest of them. formal education necessarily is not made to give you money. It is actually built to give you the knowledge. That's why it's going to acquire knowledge, obviously. Then a knowledge to solve a problem in the society. Now, if you solve a problem in the society, obviously you're going to make money. So it's all about using the knowledge that we got from education and then apply it to societal problems, and then we create wealth for ourselves. But a lot of us, obviously, we were taught differently. We were taught to actually work, make good grades, and then go get a job somewhere without necessarily looking at the knowledge that we have acquired. All right, to look at our environment and see how we can use this knowledge to solve problems. But that's not the case, though. The main issue here is the pressure on the students and who determines whether there will be exam malpractice or not. Three people are involved here. The first set is the home front, the parents. We determine how our children react to uh, situations. All right, they watch us, they learn from us. All right, the parents are like the first role models. That's why the first level of education a child witnesses is the home front. And then the next set of people is the school management. All right, the school itself, the school owners. Are they succumbing to the unholy pressure from the parents, or are they insisting on integrity and maintaining the standard of education that we want to pass on to the next generation? Then the third stage are the examination bodies. The examination body, the quality control, how strong is it? And is the leakages, how well patched are they? I can't verify this though, but obviously during our own days when we were writing exams, you always hear stories of exam papers leaking from the exam bodies. Somebody obviously leaked it, and it is not a student. And the school could decide to actually use this or not, or insist on their students actually studying to pass exams. And then finally, the parents would actually learn to teach their children to be honest, that honest work pays and it gives more pride. So this is one of the major things I noticed. And thankfully, we are insisting on doing the right thing. And parents have no choice than to abide by our rules and regulations. Or they could take the children to wherever it is that the miracle can be done, thereby teaching the children the bad side of life. So hopefully, as we go on and as our education continues to metamorphose and transform from one level to another, I hope that men and women of integrity will rise up and teach our future generation that there is pride in honest work. And it's not always about going for something at all costs, it's about how well we get to that point that we wish to get. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in my next episode. And thank you for sticking with us. And hopefully, we'll continue to engage and have the type of education that we wish our country to have. Stay blessed.